Okie doke. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to our November Real Schools webinar. We're running our webinar today around an important topic, and that's how you can make Facebook work for your school. And because unfortunately we've probably got too many instances out there where Facebook's working against us. So we thought this was an important topic that we believe sits very neatly under that whole notion of school culture, mainly because most people are pretty comfortable these days with that idea that communication and reaching our parent community in particular is a really important part of building a strong and a connected school culture. So Facebook these days tends to be one of those mediums, along with other social media, that we're going to need to pay attention to if we want to really communicate effectively with today's parent. And it is a decent old communication issue. One of the things that everybody who knows me knows that I talk about is the transition that we've had in terms of the way that we communicate. And we used to have two favourites. We used to have the school newsletter, and we used to have the school assembly, and they were pretty sufficient in the days where working mums were far more prevalent, and the presence of our parents in the schools quite organically was much higher. So we could use the newsletter and somebody would read it, and so we'd catch half our parents that way with important information, and we'd catch half of them perhaps by mentioning something important at assembly and getting their attention that way. But these days, unfortunately, the different mediums available for people to communicate is far more diverse. So that what's that's resulted in for schools who have stuck with the traditional newsletter and assembly is that we've got about 7.8% of our parents, according to recent research, that are actually reading the school newsletter, and that's even if you do funky things like send them by email and make it easier for people to access them. So it's a really small percentage of people now that are reading the newsletter. The interesting part about that, though, is while 7.8 sounds really bad, that's no better or worse than almost any other communication method we can use. So what we've got is a situation these days where it's not binary. It's not a situation of either getting them with the newsletter or the assembly. We've now got to choose about 10 different communicative channels, and we've got to try and catch 10% along the way. And if we can get 10% of people using each of those channels, then we can still scoop up a large percentage of people, because the truth is parents are really interested in what's happening at school, and if we can continue to get that information out there using a bit of a methodology that's a bit of a hack, a bit of a cheat, where we want to create once and deliver often, because we don't want this to be an outrageous amount of work, then that can work really well. And Facebook can certainly be one of those channels. And the main reason is because it's not 7.8% of parents who are using Facebook. In fact, schools in particular that get the use of their Facebook page right, they're achieving about an 85% reach rate, which means that about 85% of their students have at least one parent who has joined up to like the school's Facebook page and receiving information about the school that way. So when we think about our role in terms of letting people know how fabulous our school is, it sounds a little dirty to say it sometimes, but we're in the branding and marketing game. And anybody who is going to be in the business of branding or marketing their wonderful product, and you're not out there selling snake oil, you're out there selling a terrific school. And so what we want to do is to present ourselves in the best light where our customers or our clients really are. And so that's on Facebook, and it's having a very strong presence there. So I welcome you all along, and that's, I guess, me letting you know a bit about why we chose to go down the path of building a webinar around this topic, and I welcome you all along again on what is a cracking day. I was just enjoying my drive back from Werribee Primary School this morning, so hello to everyone out at Werribee. David Quinn, I see the principal out there is online, and I know he's got a few other people watching along with him as well. So good day to you guys. It was a terrific day to be able to actually hit the highway and drive back down to the Mornington Peninsula, finally in a little bit of sunshine. Okay, so let's get started. The main reason that we really want to have a presence on Facebook is because it's where they are. Parents, particularly the parents of school-age children, sit amongst the very highest cohorts in terms of Facebook penetration. In fact, apparently number one is mental health workers, and but after that, the cohort or the group that into which Facebook has penetrated very deeply is the parents of school-age children. Facebook are extraordinary in being able to use various algorithms to track our behaviour and who we are on Facebook. Many of you will have noticed that, for instance, if you go and have a look over on eBay or something like that, you leave eBay and then go over to Facebook, and there'll be a reminder about what you just looked at on eBay on the side of your Facebook page. So the algorithms for tracking who we are very sophisticated, such that they can even tell when parents are on Facebook. So of this cohort of parents of school-age children, what Facebook find is a significant spike twice a day. So, for instance, one spike occurs, interestingly, at about 9:15 Australian time every morning, and we sit there and go, what's that about? Well, they just got rid of their kids, didn't they? And another spike occurs at around 9 o'clock in the evening, so apparently between about 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and we go, what would that be about? That's right, the kids have been shipped off to bed, and mum or dad have picked up the phone or the iPad, and they've decided to have a flick through their Facebook account. So we're going to talk in a moment about how that's important information in terms of the cadence. We're going to talk about the cadence in a moment of how we should post. But it's also really important to note that if we're not in the Facebook world, then we create a little bit of a vacuum for our school. As you know, if you go and look on Facebook, there are people talking about absolutely everything. There is no topic that people won't cover off on Facebook. They will share some of the most intimate, and they will overshare some of the most unwelcome details of their lives very publicly on Facebook. And if we don't have a presence, they're going to talk about us anyway. So what I would like us to do as schools is to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to be in that space. I'm going to have that presence there so that we don't have a vacuum, so that way we can have a say in the way that people are talking about our school, and we can make a really positive contribution to that. So deeply has Facebook become a part of our lives that, one of the stats that some of you might be aware of is that if Facebook was actually a country, then it would be the second largest country in the world, and it would be behind China. So that's how many people are on Facebook. And it's time for us to get over the fear of what might happen and make sure that we get active in that space. So the reason that we're not, though, is most of the time because we're afraid. We've heard the horror stories, we've heard the nasty things that have been said on Facebook about schools and about ourselves, and I'm here to tell you right now that it's happened to me as well. So I've had some really nasty things said about me on Facebook. I was a school that we banned homework, as some of the people who know me know, and it became a headline, and there were many people. There was actually a Facebook group set up personally about me with some really nasty things spruiked about me, and people that had seen me doing, apparently there was one person who reported they'd seen me incredibly drunk at my cricket club, and another said they'd seen me speeding at a roundabout, and all sorts of nasty things that we want to avoid. And so the fear for most of us is that, what if these things go wrong? We need to make a conscious decision around that, because the truth is that the cost associated with not having a presence on Facebook is far greater than the risk of having a presence on Facebook. My inability at that time to use my school's Facebook page, because we hadn't set one up, to actually counter and send positive stories out into social media about my school was an anchor on my ability to get past some of the criticism that I was getting from all over the state, and indeed all over the world at that point as well. Some schools are realising that the impact and the reach of their Facebook page is so significant that schools that are doing it incredibly well are now actually closing down their web pages. They've said that, you know what, we actually don't need our website. No parent at 9 o'clock in the morning or at 9 o'clock at night is picking up their phone or their iPad and saying, I think I'll check the school's website and see if there's news. No, they're using their Facebook page, and so the school are actually Facebook has facility now to be able to, store files and photos and all sorts of information on there. And some schools are saying, you know what, we don't need our website, and some of them are doing incredible work through their Facebook page and making it a real positive for their school. So we need to get over that fear. We need and look. I'd love to tell you that everything's going to be fine and you're never going to have a negative Facebook experience. You are. You're going to have some people that you're going to have to pull into line, and that you're going to need to assist along the way. But the truth is, there's a far greater cost associated with not doing it. So let's get over that. Let's get over that fear. Let's lift our head above the desk and let's get this organised and make sure it works properly. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to fly. I'm gonna, it'll feel a bit like information overload, I think. So I'm going to present to you 9 decisions that you need to make when you're setting up your Facebook page, and even if you haven't, you can go back and remake these decisions. And I'm going to present to you also 8 posting protocols that I want you to pay attention to in building a successful Facebook page. So 17 different pieces of information over the next 40 minutes or so. So I'm going to go bananas and go really fast. And if there's anything after that you want some help with, then I'm more than happy to follow up with you, and I'll give you an idea in a moment of what you can do to actually get involved today, make sure that we contextualise this for you as well. But I'll let you know also how you can get some further assistance around the school culture stuff towards the end of the video too. So get tough, know that I'm going to fly, know that I'm going to hand over a lot of information, and you'll need to do a little bit of the hard work of selecting the stuff that works for you. So the first thing that I want to do today is to let you know that our webinars should certainly be a very interactive experience. So if you are my Facebook friend and you're going to accept my friend request, then what I want you to do is to get involved. Okay, so a handful of ways that you can get involved in this webinar today, and I say a handful there with a very unintentional pun, is that you can put your hand up. So what I mean by that is you'll notice that on your control panel that there is a hand function, and what you can do even right now is you can press that function and it'll put your hand up. So you can put it up, then you press it again, and you can put it down. So you can even just do a little wave for me if you like now, and just go up, down, up, down, up, down, to show me that you can do that. So well done to the people that are doing that. Good on you, Paul Nolan. I'm very impressed. And Fiona Smith got the hang of this. Cassie Smith, well done. Great to have you here, Cassie. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do during the webinar today, to just let me know that you've got something that you want to say or you want to ask or you want to interject. It's just like a classroom. Whack your hand up. So if you have got your hand up now, I'm going to unmute you and you're going to be able to speak. So that should frighten a couple of people into making sure that their hand is down, Lorraine and Marlisa. So if at any time today there is something that you want to say, then what I want you to do is whack that hand up. I'm going to try to pay attention to that spot, and I can unmute you and we can have a quick chat. I don't want today to be a generic presentation at all. You can also ask questions by using the question box. So if you've got something that you want to ask, 2 types of questions you might ask. One is topic related. So if I do say something today that you want to have a bit of a yarn about, even if it is something that you go, don't know about that, I'm happy to have that chat with you. And also, if you're having any sort of tech issues today, the amazing Chris, our business manager, is online in the background today. And if you're having any issues with accessing the webinar today, still put them in the question box. And Chris, who seems to know how to fix every little glitch and difficulty on GoToWebinar, is going to be there to pay attention to those and to give you a hand along the way. We're going to have a couple of polls, and then what I'll also do, if you've got a question but you sort of, you're feeling all ridiculously polite and you don't want to interrupt, you can save it. And at the end of the webinar today, I will pause, I will stop, and we'll have a little question period as well and see if anybody wants to make a contribution there. But know that those are available to you as we move forward. So it's really important to me to know what's your status, what's your Facebook status. I found this old picture, it's why it looks a bit grainy on your screen there, about there's limited options these days about your Facebook status. But this is one of the ones that they had when they first kicked off, and I thought, I'm not quite sure who it was that was out there saying that they would like to tell the world that that I'm in an open relationship or that I've indeed been widowed. But anyway, Facebook did. So what I want to do is make sure that I find out who it is that's in the room today. So I'm going to launch a poll, and I want to find out from you what it is that you come to, how it is that you come to this webinar today. So are you in that principal or AP role? I know that we've got some people who are registered today who are in the admin role, because often administration of the school are the people who are responsible for, doing the posting and setting up social media and being in charge of communication. So if that's you, I want you to let me know there. You might be a senior or a leading teacher, you might be an aspiring leader, or you might be a classroom operator like a teacher or a tutor. So I like to be able to make sure that we get our polls above 80% as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to close them off. So if you would just let me know the closest one that best applies to you and your participation today. And we've managed to get above 80%, which is just fantastic. I'm going to close that poll and share the results, which are probably actually reasonably expected today. We've got a large amount of people in administration, and we've got a smattering of teachers and school leaders as well in the room. So that's good for me to know, actually, as we move forward. So I'm going to hide those results and go back to the screen here. And what I also want to do today is to make sure that I really hit the target about what you need to take away. So I'm just going to launch one more poll here to find out what it is that you really need to get out of today, because I want to hit that nail on the head. So 5 things that you might need. One is how to ensure that Facebook is used positively. Yeah, that might be one thing that you're really interested in. Another one would be what to actually post. So a lot of people are saying, we've got a Facebook page, but we don't really know what to do with it. We want to minimise the work involved in using social media, because this feels like a really good idea, but who on earth is going to do it and who's got the time? We want to know what the rules should be for a school Facebook page. How do you get some sort of control over the conduct? And then what's the stuff we need to do that can maximise parent engagement through Facebook? So have a think about those. And I know you can only vote once, but I want you to think about what's the one that probably appeals most to you. In terms of getting your needs met for the time that you're investing today. So we're getting close to 80% now, so we're just about there, and there's a clear theme emerging here, which is very interesting for me. I love it when that happens. Alan, I get that you might be in a room with 4 people, so just go for the average. So thanks for that, mate. I appreciate it. I'm going to close that poll because we've gone past the 80% mark, and share the results. And what we can see here is that people are finding out how do we actually get parents involved. So we're going to make sure we hit that mark today. And one of them is around that cadence. And then we've got a bit of a smattering as well of people here for very different reasons. And I'll try to make sure that we cover off on them as we move forward. Okie doke, let's get cracking. There are 9 decisions that you will need to make if you are going to set up a Facebook page effectively. The first of which is to remember that you are in charge and not a parent group. So a lot of schools these days are sort of, and I can fully understand the inclination towards outsourcing, but what I want you to know is that the best Facebook pages are the ones that are controlled at the school by people who are actually paid to be at the school. We can get what I'll refer to shortly as the snowball effect when we let parents be in charge of it, and we get some inconsistencies about 1, what's posted, and 2, what the conduct is that people use as they move forward. Number 2 is to, when you do set up your Facebook page, is to remember that you should assign your Facebook page as a page. A page is something that people can like and not a separate group that people can join. And this goes to the idea of behaviour. So it's when we have membership of a group, we feel like we can influence the group and that we are now part of something organic and we're making a contribution here, and I can say what I like and I can vent my spleen in here. And it's not for that, but Facebook is quite a linear communicative tool, which means that we want the communication to be mostly outward. We would like the communication to be from the school to the community and not all around here, there and everywhere where comments are coming in, comments are going out, arguments are starting and things like that. So one of the fundamental things you can do to kick that off correctly is to make sure that your Facebook page is in fact a page that people like and not a group that people join. The next thing you need to do is to set your site rules. So you set your page rules and the norms and what you're expecting of people on the page. And you want to keep it really short and sweet. So you want to say, welcome to the blah primary school Facebook page. This is a page for celebrating all the fabulous parts about our school. And the next thing you need to do is to provide grievance pathways. If you have a problem with anything on this page, or if you have any issues with something that's going on at the school, we are always ready to chat. Here's the number you can call, or here's the email address that you can use if you have an issue. Please don't, and we can say very explicitly, please don't complain or say anything derogatory about our school on our Facebook page. So we let people know that it is a place for celebration. Now, is everybody going to adhere to that? No, they're not. So unfortunately, what we need to do is to have a very clear protocol in place that if you break the rules and somebody writes that's an absolute load of garbage and everything like that, I can't stand this teacher, we don't do anything, we don't make a fuss, we delete the post. We delete the post and we delete any other posts that are referring to that post. Okay, we don't enter an argument, we don't tick the person off, we just delete the post. And the second time they do it, we block them. And we don't enter into any conversation with them about why that's happened. We don't send them a message about why it's happened. We just block them because we have a grievance process. And if you don't like something that's happening in regards to the school, then you can see quite clearly on the site rules and the description of the page that there's a phone number and then there's an email address that you can get in touch with. So with no mess, no fuss, anything negative, you delete the first time and you block the second time. And if they would like to be able to appeal the decision to be blocked, then they need to come in and have a chat with you. The number 7 thing is to always make sure that your Facebook page is a place of celebration. So you're in the marketing and branding business, and if you were marketing a muesli bar, you wouldn't be out there on your Facebook page saying, our muesli bars are fantastic, but the raisins are pretty crap and we imported them from overseas. You wouldn't do that. You would celebrate the fabulous ingredients that are in your muesli bar, and we'll deal with the raisin issue at a local and strategic level. So we're going to make our Facebook page a place of celebration at every possible opportunity. We're also going to post strategically. So what I mean by that is going back to that notion that I mentioned before, where we spoke a little bit about about when parents are online. So strategically, what it means to post strategically is to say that we know that there's a spike in parent access to Facebook at around 9:15 in the morning and at around 9 o'clock in the evening. So we're going to set ourselves to post then. We know that the schools that achieve the best engagement with their Facebook page are the ones that post around 2 to 3 times a week. So you might say, okay, we're going to make the commitment to post twice a week, and it's going to be at 9:15 on a Monday morning, and it's also going to be at 9 p.m. on a Thursday evening. So post really strategically and post with a cadence. What I mean is to choose the amount of times that you are going to post. 2 to 3 times a week seems to be about the best impact. And so we're going to be very clever and careful about the way that we post. And the last thing is that it must be easy to manage. So what I say about that is that one of the things that in terms of managing your Facebook page, and this is a really important one of the 9 decisions that we're making today, is that you will not remember to post. You'll never remember to do it. So what we need to do is to find a way to once, perhaps a month, sit down and schedule our posting so that we so that it's all done for us. Nobody wants to remember to get on the computer at 9 o'clock on a Thursday evening to get that post out there. So I want to, I guess, in terms of dealing with that easy to manage thing before there, so there are 9 decisions that you'll need to make. But in terms of making it clear that it needs to be really easy to manage, I wanted to, I guess, show you a little bit of a video, and I haven't done video in a webinar yet, so I'm a little bit nervous about this working. But this is giving you a little peek behind the Real Schools curtain, because a lot of people do ask me at Real Schools, how is it that you manage to have such a presence on social media and Facebook? And we obviously have our Real Schools Facebook page, and there's about 4,500 educators and parents who are on that, who are part of that community. But we connect also through my own social media, and we've got the Real Schools Twitter account, and we've got my Twitter account, and we've got my LinkedIn account, and there's a Pinterest account, and there's an Instagram account, and things like that. People ask, how do you remember to do all that posting? And the truth is, I don't. So I wanted to give you a little hint, a little clue as to some of the hacks that you can do to make sure that Facebook's working for you and not against you, and isn't a horrible drain on your time. We had, people before telling me that, minimising the work involved was something that 13% of the people here wanted to see how to do. So this is a quick video that I'm letting you play here. I use a thing called Google Alerts, and I noticed there was an article that they sent me from the great TES site about managing behaviour that got my interest. And I looked first of all at that point there about listen first and explain later, I thought was really important. So I clicked on this buffer icon that you can see up the top there, because I have a buffer account. And I can go in here and I can actually describe the article in the way that I would like it to be described. So instead of the headline they've got, forgive my typing skills there, I've put in there, love the focus on listening before we speak to students. I've decided not to put it on Instagram or Pinterest because you can't actually do that very well with an article. I paste it in because you have to put a separate message using buffer for Facebook down the bottom there. And I go, okay, I can look at the top and say, yep, it's going to go on my Twitter account, the Real Schools Twitter account, my LinkedIn account, my Facebook account. Down the bottom, I click Add to Queue. It's adding it to my buffer. One more post in my buffer, topped up, terrific. So what I might do now is just quickly go into my buffer account and show you what it looks like in there. And any school with credit card facility can do this. So you can see all of my social media accounts on the side there. You can see that some of them, for instance, the Facebook page has 63 posts waiting to go. And you can click there and see that all the different types of posts. There's some articles, there's some useful links, there's some pictures that we think inspire people to do good work in schools. And you can even go and have a click at the schedule here to see that I post at 9 AM every day, at 12:49, at 4:11, at 9:27. You see, I know when people are on Facebook also. So you can see there that that's a really interesting tool that you could use, and you could have somebody, particularly with those, we've got a lot of, more than 40% of people today in administration in the school. If you could have someone in admin put an hour aside at once a month to say, okay, we're going to post only 2 or 3 times a week to Facebook. You can use something like this to make sure that the things that you are going to do also go out to other social media accounts without having to add any additional workload to what you're doing. And an account like this can be incredibly useful for you, I think, in making Facebook work for you. Because like I said before, you will never, ever remember to post. I know full well how busy you all are. So that's a bit of a look behind the curtain of what we do at Real Schools here around social media, and how you can see that in a few seconds there I was able to click on an article that I thought was interesting, put it out to an article or a link that I think people would benefit from seeing, or that I hit my buffer button that you can see there. It just looks like a little bit of a stack of tiles or something like that, and it posts for me automatically on any social media platform that I choose, so it can be done really quickly. So I want to recommend to you all that there are various platforms you can use. And I certainly am not getting any kickbacks from Buffer, but Buffer certainly has been one that has worked for me, and I want to recommend it to you as something that can happen easily for you. All right, so we've made our 9 decisions, and now it's time to get into our 8 posting protocols. And as much as I'm not a fan of priming people negatively, I don't like to. There's a reason that don't work, because you're telling people not to do the very thing that you are. Telling people not to do something tends to let them know of the idea. But there's a bunch of stuff that I basically don't want you to put on your Facebook page. So have a look and see if you can see a theme emerging here. I don't want you to put on your Facebook page warnings about car park safety, head lice outbreaks, reports about bad student behaviour, threats disguised as reminders. So an interesting one that I saw recently was at one school's Facebook page that I follow put up there, remember, all library books are due back tomorrow. Anyone who fails to bring their library book back will receive a $6 fine. Okay, now that sounds like a threat to me, but I'm sure the school viewed it as a reminder. Don't put any boring or ambiguous stuff on there. So I saw a post from a school recently that said, wouldn't it be great if we had more parents at assembly tomorrow? Oh, wow. One, there's just a little nasty sort of bit of text there, and then I don't know if they're being sarcastic or quite what the point of all that is. But anyway, regardless, that went up on their Facebook page. And the last thing I don't want you to put up there is questions that you don't already know the answer to, or that you don't want to. So I saw a school recently that put a poll. You can some Facebook pages will allow you to launch polls, or you could even just publishing a post. You can ask a question and get some feedback from people. In fact, questions rate really highly in terms of engagement of people in the school, but be very careful about what you ask, because I saw one recently that said, who do you think is the best teacher in the school? nasty question to ask, because if you don't get mentioned in that list, or if you do get mentioned as, oh man, nobody vote for Mr. Smith, then you're going to create a really difficult situation in your school. Okay, so posting warnings and posting negative news and problems are not the way to create engagement in your Facebook page. In fact, if you let people know the negative, they're likely to comment the negative. So what we need to do here, like I mentioned before, is priming people. We need to prime people to behave positively on a Facebook page by making it a positive thing. So I mentioned before that snowball effect. The more negative we are, the more negative they are, and that will snowball in the wrong direction. So we need to make sure that Facebook, like I mentioned before in one of those decisions, is a place of celebration. Second thing, what can you post? So let's get on to those things that you can post. Creating events on Facebook and through Facebook pages is a really powerful and valuable thing to do. So you can actually get in there early and you can upload your calendar into a Facebook page, and you can also upload and you can also create separate events. And you can even use little pictures like these here. So you know, while I'm on the track of letting you know about sort of, you know, things like Buffer, there are websites like Freelancer and like Fiverr, Fiverr, where for $5 you could get something like this Holy Family Primary School graphic around their event design. You can make it the little picture that sits behind that event, and then you can promote separate events by posting in the event little section of your Facebook page also. It's a great way to let people know in advance, because Facebook will often remind people that once they sort of showed an interest in that event, or they said that they're going, it will send reminders to people. It'll pop up in their feed again to say, hey, you've got an event coming up in 7 days. And it's a good way to try and make sure that people have that opportunity to get ready to actually come along to your events, because I know that can be a significant challenge too. So using those little quirky, clever little ways to promote those events that, you know, I know that one of the challenges when you're looking to promote any event in a school is to get bums on seats. Facebook can be a really useful tool for making sure that you get people to those events. Posting protocol number 3 is post your big wins. Post the things that happen in your school that are absolutely awesome. I was speaking to a school recently who was telling me about some really positive results that they'd received. And I said, what are the results? And everything like that. And it was some NAPLAN stuff that said that it's now the 4th year in a row that our reading results have gone up right across the school. And I said, that's fantastic. And everything like that, you know, well done. And they said, yeah. I said, it's just that sort of no one really knows. And I said, well, why? So we've got to tell them. So you look at even the little snapshot that I did in sort of having a look here. I looked up West Australian school cricket results just to try and see what happened here. And I found here that John Forrest Secondary College has won the Kim Hughes Shield for the last 2 years now. So they won it in 2015 and they backed up in 2016 and got it done again as the best cricket secondary school in Western Australia. And we've got to make a big deal out of that. We've got to let people know that there are areas in which our school excels. In fact, if you have a look at what's happening, particularly in secondary schools, and I think this is going to eventually start to bleed down into our primaries also, it already is certainly happening, is that we look for schools with academies and we look for schools with specialist strength. So if this is a school in particular that has some sort of sporting focus, we need to let people know that we don't actually have a sporting focus. We excel. We do really awesome stuff here. So what are the things that you can celebrate? You can celebrate your NAPLAN results if you can find something in there. And look, I'm going to advocate being a little bit cunning here also. Be selective. You don't have to share your entire NAPLAN data on this page. Pick the bit that you think is worth celebrating and let them know. Let people know that that's what's going on in your school. Celebrate the big wins in terms of, you know, students who do particularly well in Year 12 or who achieve awards in Year 6 or who wins academic awards or who get themselves in the top 2% of the state and things like that. Sporting awards also create a high level of engagement for parents as well. And we tend to find the pride effect kicks in. So if our child has done a great job, or if we've got a team photo of a group that have done really well, those parents will tend to engage with that photo, which means they'll either like it, they'll post about it, or they'll share it. And that means more and more of the successes at your school get amplified. Whenever you win a grant or something like that in the school, then make sure that you let people know about that. If you have a VIP visitor, so if the minister or if someone famous, or if you have those sporting clinics and things like that, where an AFL or an NRL team comes along, and perhaps not Jared Hayne recently, but anyway, I'll leave that joke for another day. So if they come along and do some work in your school, get some photos, and that's a big win. That's fantastic that somebody special came along to our school. Another thing that people forget about sharing sometimes is perception data. So if your students are recording that they feel more safe in their school for the last 3 years running, then you should be letting people know that the social skills programs and approaches that you're using for your school are just working out of sight. They're doing a terrific job. Have a look at this data. And if your parents are saying that they're more connected to the school in one particular way, or if you've had a reduction in bullying data and we think it's down to this and everything like that, and here's a photo of it, it's a great way to let people know that you're having some wins, you're getting some runs on the board. As human beings, we're incredibly motivated by the scoreboard. We really like to see that we're getting somewhere, and that our efforts and that our partnership between home and school is getting somewhere. So let people know what the score is. Let people know what those big wins are. And the last thing, I guess, in terms of big wins is that if you get new facilities or new equipment or anything like that in the school, then please make sure that your community knows about it through your Facebook page. So big wins, an important one, I reckon, is that posting protocol number 3. By the way, Kerry, I want to let you know, because I do periodically check the question box. Kerry, we're letting you know. Kerry's asking if she can have an electronic copy of this presentation. I actually, sometimes I remember to put that in as a potential download within here. I haven't. What I am going to do, Kerry, though, is at the end of this webinar today is give you the Real Schools email address. And if you do send a quick email through to that address, we will send you a PDF copy of this presentation that you can go and share with your people as well. We want to share the love. So I said before, you can put your calendar and your events in there, but once those events happen, posting protocol number 4 is to make sure that people know about it. So these are a bunch of kids from Marcelin College in Victoria here who went to Tournament of the Minds. And the great part about this for me, I think, is that 1, you can see the kids have been working. They're definitely involved in a project of some sort. And 2, they're having a fantastic time. So one of the little things that Facebook have been able to determine in terms of the engagement, so for large percentage of people who are looking to drive up the engagement of parents, 2 things that you can use around events and making sure that they go up on your Facebook page that you can do are really important. Number 1 is to post any time the students leave the school. Parents engage at a higher level with pictures about, like, these kids at Tournament of the Minds, or kids that are on camp, or kids that are on their, on excursions and at museums and things like that. For some reason, parents engage at a higher level with photos of the students that are taken outside the school grounds. And secondly, interaction by parents is driven up by any time that you see kids in competition. So while schools will be collaborative environments wherever we possibly can, if you can get photos up of the swimming sports, and if you can get photos up of inter-school athletics, and when our team's playing football against these guys or netball against these guys, then particularly if you can, if you do have the opportunity to put that, we had a fantastic win against the school down the road with a 17-13 scoreline, then that's a great way to promote your school. It certainly drives up parent interaction as well. So Kerry's asking a really interesting question here about, will I cover photo use and names permission? So yes, I'll actually touch on that now. I haven't got it as part of the presentation here, Kerry, but what I do want to do is emphasise to you that the best way to do it is a bit of an opt-out. So instead of having an opt-in situation where we're constantly sort of sending forms out and we feel like we can't have the photos or videos, because I am going to talk to photo and video in just a moment too, in terms of you know, we're worried about have we got a form back from this kid, or where are the forms, or who are the kids who sent the form back that said no, and all that, is to let parents know that we have a Facebook page. We love to use it for celebration. So to build yourself a form that you send people home, and you let them know that if for any reason you don't want your child featured on our Facebook page or in social media, let us know. So you make sure that you let people know the best way to do it is through opt-out rather than opt-in. And Lisa is asking, is there a generic Facebook policy for schools and info to gain parent permission? So I'll leave that, I'll let that one stand. There are different protocols and policies for every state and territory around Australia, but most of them, to my information anyway, will allow you to post and to set up your Facebook page in accordance with the things that I'm suggesting here today. So, but I do certainly recommend that you go and have a look at that as you're setting up your Facebook page. The next thing I want you to do is to post teacher achievements. So anytime your teachers do something fantastic, and that can be something fantastic at the school. So this is an example here of a teacher at a school. This is a post on one school's Facebook page who was voted the WA Positive Teacher of the Year. So that definitely needs to go up on their school's Facebook page as a celebration of what that teacher has achieved, but also the things that we achieve outside of our work life is worth putting up there. Fabulous teacher I know, a guy who has worked in special ed in Victoria for a very long time, called Sean Bacon, is one of those absolute lunatics who goes and does those massive eco challenges where you have to not sleep for 5 days and run through the jungle and all of that sort of stuff, and it's incredible. And so where we do have those special efforts and those special achievements in the school, it is really important that we let people know what our wonderful teachers are doing. Why do we want to do that? Because I think that over the last 30 years or so, there hasn't been a profession in the country that hasn't had a hit to its status like teaching. I think that in some ways, I could understand why some teachers feel under siege, under attack. So what we need to do is to choose every possible opportunity that we can to elevate the status of our teachers. We need to demonstrate to our communities the expertise that they have. We need to demonstrate the special skills that they have, because what that does is it places our parents in a position where they want to be in a relationship with that expert. So I often say you wouldn't question the expertise of your plumber or your accountant or your doctor or your lawyer or even your hairdresser, but for some reason it's very easy to challenge the expertise of a teacher. So what we need to do is to make sure that our parent community knows what are the things that we do incredibly well, and it just helps us do something about that status, which in turn helps us build a really positive relationship with parents because they view us as people who really know their stuff. Posting protocol number 6 is to get serious about letting them know what's going on in terms of teaching and learning. Many things have changed in education over the last few decades. What hasn't changed are the primary reasons that parents send their kids to school, and I talk a lot to the idea of there are 2 key reasons. One is so that we'll help turn their young people into really worthy, fabulous citizens with them, and the other is they send them to school for a good education. They send them to school hoping they'll experience some good teaching and that they will also do some really effective and relevant learning. So what we want to do, one of the things that I think are really effective to do is to just nominate one teacher a week or a fortnight who can actually either take a couple of photos, record a little video, or even record a little voiced PowerPoint about the things that their class has been doing. It's a great way to be able to give people excitement and hope and anticipation about what they're going to do. So if you can get a year 10 teacher or a year 9 teacher who can actually put together a little synopsis on what's been happening in year 9, and so for you people who aren't in the middle years at your school yet, in the middle department of our school, when you get up to year 9, you're going to be able to do this sort of really cool robotic stuff and things like that. It's a great way to promote some anticipation in the school and gives people plenty to look forward to. It also, a bit like posting protocol number 5, elevates the expertise of our teachers. once they actually hear us talk about our craft, which they don't often hear us talk about our craft very often. Once they hear us talk about our craft, they go, "Ah, okay, that's why they're doing that." And when we can speak, eloquently to things like assessment criteria and components of the curriculum and learning objectives and well-being strategies, then it really places us again as experts that parents want to step into a partnership with people like that. So classroom capers, let them know what's going on in the classroom, provide some evidence of the things that are being achieved where at the coalface, and again does something really positive for our teacher status. Posting protocol number 7 is to get serious about promoting our alumni. So this is Kyle Chalmers, who many of you will be aware won a gold medal at the Olympics recently, and he returned to Emmanuel College, his old school, where he actually was, I think, still a Year 12 student at the time that he won his gold medal in Rio, and promoting that we're not only interested in our young people now, but we're interested in who they become, and it goes to that primary reason that parents send their kids to school, and that's the hope that they'll become, that we'll help them build them into terrific citizens, and it lets people know that it actually works. So have a think about who are the people in your school who have kicked on to do fantastic things. I recently went to my own kids' school, and there was a musical performance by the secondary students. I thought it was great, and everyone it wasn't actually sitting in rows. All the parents sat at tables with nibbles in the middle of the room, and the kids played in different parts of the room and different components and everything like that. And then all of a sudden there was one thing on the program that I thought was a bit quirky, and it was that there was going to be a teacher play a song. And I thought, oh, okay, I thought this was a presentation for the kids, really. I thought this is just a little bit of overkill. And when they introduced him as a teacher in the school who was a former student of the school, and who has also gone on not only be a teacher at the school, but to do some fantastic composing work in music himself. He's involved in productions, he's involved in concerts and everything like that, and the song he played was extraordinary, and it blew our minds. And we just found ourselves looking around going, wow, this school is really serious about its music. And it was just fabulous. So it doesn't have to be a famous person. Find the people who are out there doing really good things and highlight them. Let them know that let your community know that young people who come through your program are put on a fantastic trajectory for life, which is really a cool thing to do. And okay, posting protocol number 8. I'm picking on my friends at Monmea today. Lorraine, I hope you're still online there. I think you are. Deb out at Monmea is just incredible at using their social media, particularly through pictures and videos about what's going on. Why does she use pictures and videos? And they're very active with Twitter, Monmea, so they're actually doing the crossover here from Facebook to Twitter and a little bit backwards and forwards. And I know that many people get very nervous about photos and videos going onto social media, but there's a reason that you should do it. Now, firstly, even if you just use something as silly as an emoticon or an emoji, it drives up interaction when we're looking for all those people who are looking for how do you get parents involved in the things you're posting. Even using an emoticon drives up their interaction by 23%. But if you use a picture, it drives up their engagement by 39%, and what do you know? If you use a video, it can increase the interaction by your parents in that post by up to 72%. So this is a fantastic way to get a little bit of bang for your buck when it comes to posting, and I cannot recommend more highly to you. If you want to see how it's done incredibly well, go and start to follow Monmea PS on Twitter, and you'll see how fabulous they are at letting their community know about the great things that they're doing. So I want to emphasise here, don't be frightened about photos and videos. Get your permissioning system in place, check your policy, and check your state's policy about how to get that done. If you can manage it, go with an opt-out focus rather than an opt-in, and then let people know the fabulous things that kids are doing, and you certainly will drive up a higher level of engagement there. Okay, 9 decisions, 8 posting protocols. I may have overloaded you. Thanks, Arthur, for your for letting me know that you're dropping out there. Okay, so we've got some interaction in the questions there. I want to stop, and now that you're facing masters, I want to ask what's going on in your head. So if you do, for instance, have a question that's that's relevant to you locally, feel free to put your hand up. I'm happy to talk to you. And if you do want to post something in the question box, then you know, give me a little question there as well, and I'll give you just a moment to do that, and I'll try to just talk over the top of that and get us through the next minute or so while you type your question. Well, I have a funny feeling everyone might have gone shy. Either that, or I've completely freaked you out by giving you way too much information about Facebook. All right, I'll keep an eye on it for just a moment, for a bit longer, but I'll move on. One of the other things that I wanted to let you know about is that this this webinar goes into our member section. So I'm a little bit obsessed today with trying to see whether this video option will work. So what I wanted to do was to give you a really quick look into our member section. Now, if at any time this in the member section here that you go, actually we wouldn't mind access to that, then just in the question box, just write the word member, and we'll follow up and make sure that you get a registration form. So I'm going to press play on this video, and it's going to work. Oh, it is working terrific. So if you look at our member section here, you can see that there's a bunch of ebooks there that all of our member schools are able to download. They can order posters for their classroom. They can download any of these teacher practice articles. You can see there's stacks and stacks and stacks all about the work that happens between the walls of the classroom. For your leadership team, there's a heap of cultural leadership articles that you can use to get in place. To get the focus right in your leadership team. If you can deal with this bloke's head, then you'll notice that there are a plethora of staff meeting conversation starters. There are 3 to 4 minute videos for your staff meetings, and then every single webinar that we've ever done is also in there, viewable within that section, all the way down to our own social media at the bottom there. Your entire school community can get access to that membership section. So it's $249 for a year, which we think is a bit of a ridiculous deal, or we're told anyway that it's a bit of a ridiculous deal. That it should be a bit more expensive than that. But we actually want this stuff in your hands. We want to be able to make a difference in your school, and we want it to happen really easily. Go and have a snoop around the website as well. Go and have a really good look there and see if there's anything there that would that would be of interest to you, and just let us know. I'll just finish up by showing you our details there, and in accordance with Kerry's question before, note that email address there, info@realschools.com.au. If you would like a copy of the presentation, we're more than happy to provide you with that. Just noticing too, I got a question from Anne there. Are there any particular security settings we should be aware of when setting up a Facebook page? There's nothing particular. When you set a Facebook page up, the settings there are adequate for you to be able to run that page and to have somebody step in there and just moderate what's going on. It's a really good idea in terms of cadence, like I said, to post 2 to 3 times a week. It's also really important that while you might have someone go and use something like Buffer once a month, that once a month isn't the only time you look at that page. So in terms of cadence, it's a good idea, people who are in administration, to make sure that there's somebody in the school that checks it at least a couple of times a week. So on a Monday and on a Friday, look for things that are outside of that description, because the truth is, Anne, that the best way to moderate your Facebook page is to have people adhere to what's in the page description, rather than looking to get into the settings and make it sort of difficult or otherwise for people to engage with your page. I hope that answers that question. All right, being November, I'm going to let you all off the hook. Thank you so much for coming along. We actually had a bit of a think about our webinars and went, okay, what's the likelihood of people working in schools wanting to come along to a webinar in the middle of December? And we think low, so we're not going to hit you with a December webinar, but we're going to be back in the middle of January. I know we're on holidays, but we think that it's a really good opportunity for people to start to get their head back in the game around the middle of January. So we're going to make sure that all of you are fully notified about what's the webinar that's going to be on in January. So keep an eye out for that one. If we can help you in any way, then please make sure you go and have a look around the Real Schools Facebook page, get in touch with us. Hey, make sure you like the Real Schools website, I say, but make sure you do go and actually like the Real Schools Facebook page. It's a ripper. We post twice a day, so we let people know twice a day a lot of ideas and examples and articles from schools around the world that are getting it right, because we really want to support you guys to get it right too. So jump onto that one and enjoy it. But that in mind, I reckon I'll let you off the hook. So thanks, guys, for coming along. Have a great afternoon and enjoy the run through until the end of the 2016 school year. Enjoy, survive, do well. We'll see you later.